They made America laugh, but behind the scenes the tension was no joke. For years, Jimmie Walker and Esther Rolle played mother and son on Good Times. But in real life, things were far from good. Now, decades later, we finally know the shocking truth about their feud, and why Jimmie Walker never forgave her. Comment 1 if you once laughed because of Jimmie Walker, or 0 if it's the first time you hear his name. Before becoming a star in Good Times, he was just a normal little child. Born James Carter Walker Jr. on June 25, 1947, in the Bronx, New York. Walker grew up in a modest household and found his early path through humor. His natural comedic instincts led him into stand-up comedy in the late 1960s, where he quickly gained a following for his sharp wit, energetic delivery, and magnetic presence. Walker got his first big break as a regular performer on the stand-up circuit, particularly in New York comedy clubs. His rising popularity eventually earned him a spot writing for Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In and appearing on shows like The Jack Paar Show, which helped him gain exposure to national audiences. But it was in 1974 that everything changed. Norman Lear, the visionary producer behind socially conscious sitcoms like All in the Family, and modcast Walker in a new spin-off series called Good Times. Walker was chosen to play James J.J. Evans, Jr., the eldest son of a black working-class family living in a Chicago housing project. While the show was meant to depict the struggles and resilience of urban families, Walker's portrayal of J.J., with his towering Afro-quick one-liners and flamboyant charisma, quickly made him the breakout star. His trademark catchphrase, "Dino Might," became a national sensation, even if it was initially resisted by some of the show's creators and co-stars, including Esther Rolle and John Amos, who worried the comedy was overshadowing the show's message. Despite that controversy, Walker's role made him a household name almost overnight. He won the hearts of millions with his energy and comedic timing, and became one of the most recognizable faces on television during the 1970s. His rise on Good Times turned him into a pop culture icon and opened doors for future roles appearances and a long-standing career in comedy and acting. Jimmie Walker never spoke to Esther Rolle. The truth about why Esther Rolle left Good Times exposes a startling reality behind the scenes. The cast of one of TV's most beloved sitcoms barely spoke to each other when cameras stopped rolling. I will honestly say I don't remember ever speaking a word to Esther the whole time she was there. Jimmie Walker revealed. The 75-year-old actor who starred in the series throughout its 6-season run from 1974 to 1979 admitted that the cast never spent time together outside filming. The cast's disconnect went beyond simple avoidance. Walker didn't even have Rolle's contact information. This revelation adds intrigue to Rolle's departure from Good Times and her eventual return for the final season after missing Season 5. Creative differences seemed to drive the wedge as Rolle and John Amos voiced concerns about Walker's breakout character, JJ. They believed his portrayal sent wrong messages to black teenagers. Good Times broke new ground by showing a working-class African-American family's life in Chicago's Cabrini Green housing projects. Yet the cast's relationship off-screen painted a different picture entirely. The loving Evans family viewers saw on Good Times was nothing like the reality behind the scenes. A shocking 2017 Television Academy interview with Jimmie Walker revealed what really happened after the cameras stopped rolling. Jimmie Walker's honest confession about his relationship with Esther Rolle stunned fans who thought the cast shared their on-screen warmth in real life. I will honestly say I don't remember ever speaking a word to Esther the whole time she was there, Walker said in his interview. This revelation showed a stark difference between their loving mother-son relationship on screen and their complete lack of personal connection. Walker wasn't exaggerating. He managed to keep his distance throughout all 6 seasons of production, claiming he and Rolle never had any personal conversations. Rolle starred in the first 4 seasons, took a break during Season 5, and came back for the final season. All the same, they kept their relationship strictly professional. This revelation seems even more strange given their characters' interactions. Walker's character J.J. Evans always looked to his mother for approval and guidance, yet they became complete strangers once the director called cut. Their interactions stayed limited to what the script demanded. Walker's distant relationship wasn't just with Esther Rolle, it extended to John Amos too. I think the same basically goes for John Amos. Walker said about his on-screen father, he mentioned they talk a little bit more now, though these interactions remain very, very little. Walker drove home the point about their lack of connection with a telling example. If you said at that time, call Esther and ask her about, I wouldn't even have her number. I couldn't have called John. I wouldn't have had his number. This statement shows how disconnected the cast members were despite working together for years. We were never friends. We never talked, only on the set. Walker emphasized making it clear their relationship never grew beyond what filming required. We never did anything together, he added, confirming the cast never socialized outside work. Walker's distant behavior extended beyond Rolle and Amos. Reports suggest he barely spoke to Janet Jackson, who played Penny, saying he doesn't talk to kids. Jeanette DuBois, who played neighbor Willona Woods, thought Walker didn't like her. These revelations help explain why Esther Rolle might have left Good Times. The cold, off-camera relationship likely added to tensions from creative differences. Wikipedia notes, off and on camera, Walker did not get along with the series' lead Esther Rolle because she and Amos disapproved of Walker's increasingly buffoonish character and his popularity, and Walker felt hurt by their disdain. Rolle tried to separate her issues with Walker's character from her feelings about him personally. In a 1978 Greenville News interview, she said, I have no personal grievances against Jimmie Walker. My grievances are with the character he portrays. She noted, I respect Jimmie Walker as an ambitious young man, but we are simply not compatible socially. This social incompatibility never improved. The final sign of their strained relationship came when Esther Rolle passed away in 1998. Walker was the only Good Times star who didn't attend her funeral. Walker says they were never friends. Jimmie Walker's honest revelations about the Good Times cast relationships show a clear picture of coworkers who barely had any personal connection. Many successful TV shows see their cast members building lasting friendships. But the Good Times ensemble worked quite differently. Walker's words give us a rare look into a workplace that was nothing like the loving family they showed on screen. Walker's complete disconnect from his co-stars becomes clear when he admits they never shared even simple contact details. If you said at that time, call Esther and ask her about something, I wouldn't even have her number, Walker revealed. This surprising confession shows just how separate their lives stayed during their time working together. I couldn't have called John. I wouldn't have had his number, Walker added. His comments paint a picture of a workplace where people kept strict professional boundaries without sharing even basic ways to reach each other outside the studio. Cast members usually share phone numbers for practical reasons like schedule changes, emergencies, or casual get-togethers. The Good Times cast never bothered with these simple courtesies throughout their 6 seasons together. Walker's distant relationship wasn't just with Rolle and Amos. Reports suggest he barely talked to other cast members, too. Everyone in the ensemble kept their distance, creating a set where work happened without any personal bonds. Cast members' separation went beyond just not having contact information. We never spoke to each other, only on the set, Walker stated simply. His words leave no doubt that they only talked when they needed to film scenes. We were never friends, never talked, Walker said clearly. The cast did their jobs without building any friendships. Any warmth viewers saw between the Evans family members stayed within the script. We never did anything together, Walker added. No cast outings, social gatherings, or personal celebrations happened during their years on the show. Most successful TV shows from that era saw cast members becoming close friends who stayed in touch long after production ended. The Good Times set worked more like a regular office where people did their jobs well but kept their personal lives separate. Walker hasn't changed his story over the years. His 2017 Television Academy interview included this striking comment, I will honestly say I don't remember ever speaking a word to Esther the whole time she was there. This shows how completely separate everyone stayed throughout the show's run. Their lack of friendship made things worse when creative differences came up between Walker and his co-stars. Rolle and Amos openly criticized Walker's portrayal of JJ, saying it reinforced negative stereotypes. Without any personal connection or trust, these work disagreements likely made their separation even deeper. This helps explain why Esther Rolle left Good Times briefly after the 4th season, with no friendship to fall back on. They couldn't work through their professional disagreements about the show's direction, especially regarding Walker's growing role as JJ. Esther Rolle criticized JJ as a harmful stereotype. The tension on the Good Times set went beyond the distance between cast members. A serious creative conflict emerged about the show's direction. The conflict focused on Jimmie Walker's character, JJ Evans. Esther Rolle worked hard to ensure the show showed a positive image of African American families. She soon found herself clashing with producers over JJ's growing screen time. Esther Rolle spoke directly about her concerns with the JJ character in a 1975 interview with Ebony magazine. "He's 18 and he doesn't work. He can't read and write. He doesn't think," Rolle stated bluntly. Her criticism went deeper than just disliking the character. She worried JJ represented a harmful stereotype that could hurt young black viewers' self-image. Rolle's objections came from her steadfast dedication to positive representation. She worried that JJ's portrayal sent the wrong message to African American youth. "I resent the imagery that says to black kids that you can make it by standing on the corner saying, 'Dynamite.'" This wasn't just theory. Rolle knew that media representation shaped how young people saw their future possibilities. Good Times broke new ground by showing a close-knit African American family tackling serious issues while living in Chicago's Cabrini Green housing projects. The show addressed topics like abuse, gang violence, racial profiling, and inequality. Yet, as JJ's comedic antics became more popular, Rolle saw the show drifting from its meaningful foundation. John Amos, who played James Evans Sr., echoed Rolle's concerns. "I thought there was a little too much buffoonery," Amos told Vulture in 2015. "It started to dissipate into something I wasn't terribly proud of." Both actors spoke up about how black characters, especially JJ, appeared on national television. JJ's rising popularity led Rolle to notice a concerning pattern. "The show didn't start out to be that," she lamented. "Little by little, with the help of the artist, I suppose, because they couldn't do that to me, they have made JJ more stupid and enlarged the role." These changes reshaped what Rolle had hoped for the series. The changes bothered Rolle especially when they affected other characters. Ralph Carter's character. "Michael's role of a bright-thinking child has been subtly reduced," she noted. The show once balanced comedy with thoughtful exploration of issues affecting black families. As ratings showed, JJ's popularity producers made him the show's centerpiece. Good Times stayed groundbreaking in many ways. The show highlighted a loving marriage and close-knit family relationships. Yet, Rolle felt JJ's comedic portrayal undermined the show's original goal of showing authentic black experiences. Rolle promoted the show's original concept strongly. She fought to keep Florida Evans's character true to her values. She insisted on featuring a two-parent family, which rarely happened in black family portrayals on television then. Seeing the show turn toward what she saw as stereotypical comedy deeply disappointed her. This creative conflict led to Rolle's exit from Good Times after the 4th season. She left the show in March 1970, though people cited contractual disputes as the reason. Later, Rolle revealed her true reasons. She felt embarrassed and even angered by what she saw as the show's declining quality and direction. Rolle took her stand against JJ's portrayal based on principle. In addition to her concerns about the show's content, Rolle also had issues with her contract. She had requested a pay raise, arguing that as the lead actress and one of the driving forces behind the show's success, she deserved to be compensated accordingly. When producers wouldn't meet these demands while taking the show in a direction she opposed, she made her tough choice to leave. John Amos echoed Rolle's concerns about JJ. Esther Rolle wasn't the only one who criticized JJ's character on Good Times. John Amos, who played family patriarch James Evans Sr., shared her concerns about the show's direction and JJ's portrayal. His outspoken stance against these issues ended up leading to his unexpected exit from the series after its third season. John Amos spoke his mind about his frustrations with JJ's character development. In a candid 2015 Vulture interview, he said, "I felt that with the advent of the JJ character, the show had taken a turn for the worse in terms of content." His thoughts lined up with Rolle's, and he didn't hesitate to call the character buffoonish. "I was told that my services were no longer needed because I had become a disruptive element," Amos explained about getting fired from the show. His biggest problem was JJ's increasingly cartoonish portrayal that went against the show's original purpose. The catchphrase, "Dynamite," that became JJ's trademark bothered him most as it showed the character's shallow development. Unlike Jimmie Walker, who said he didn't know his co-stars disapproved back then, Amos took his concerns straight to the producers. "I felt that the role of JJ was being diminished as opposed to boosted by the humor," he said. This direct challenge about creative choices put him at odds with show's leaders who were banking on JJ as audience appeal. Amos and Rolle wanted to protect what they saw as the show's original mission, showing a dignified African-American family facing ground challenges. They saw the over-the-top comedy around JJ as going against that vision whatever success it had with viewers. John Amos saw beyond personal preferences. He believed the change toward spotlighting JJ as antics damaged Good Times as a groundbreaking TV show. The writers would prefer to put emphasis on JJ and his chicken hat and saying "Dynamite" every third page. Amos said, clearly frustrated by these creative choices. He worried about the messages reaching viewers, especially young African Americans. Like Rolle, he thought about how JJ's portrayal might affect black youth. Both actors saw their roles as more than entertainment. They felt responsible for positive representation. The producers ignored their concerns. JJ's popularity made them focus more on his character despite objections. This creative tension grew until it broke, and Amos got fired after season 3 officially for being difficult to work with, but really because of these creative disagreements. Years later, Amos still spoke up about his principles. He managed to keep saying that defending the show's integrity was worth losing his job. "I was told that my services were no longer needed because I had become a disruptive element," he revealed, confirming his outspoken criticism led straight to his dismissal. Amos and Rolle's similar views stand out even more because they barely knew each other off camera. Their shared worry about JJ's character shows the gap between cast members wanting to keep the show's meaningful portrayal of black family life and producers following ratings. Both actors' concerns led to major cast changes. Amos left after season 3, and Rolle took a break after season 4. Their back-to-back exits show how deeply the fight over JJ's character affected the show's path and its cast relationships. Why did Esther Rolle leave the show Good Times? Esther Rolle played the matriarch Florida Evans for 4 seasons before she decided to leave Good Times in March 1977. Several issues had built up throughout the show's run that led to her exit. She stayed away for the entire season 5. The tension between Rolle and the show's creative team grew worse after John Amos left following season 3. Rolle couldn't shape Good Times the way she wanted without Amos by her side. She showed steadfast dedication to the show's original concept and tried to protect her character Florida Evans' integrity. The mostly white writing staff and black actors didn't see eye to eye about how to portray an African-American family. John Amos explained this gap. "The writer's idea of what a black family would be and what a black father would be was totally different from mine, and mine was steeped in reality." Rolle had clear demands before she joined the show. She wanted Good Times to show a complete black family with a strong father figure. She wouldn't sign her contract unless her character had a devoted husband. This push for positive representation made her worry about where the show was heading, The writers handled Rolle's exit by creating a story where Florida met and married Carl Dixon, played by Moses Gunn, and moved to Arizona. This plot gave a good reason for her character's absence and left room for her to come back later. Rolle didn't just clash with the creative team. She also had issues with Jimmie Walker's character. J.J. Evans kept getting more screen time. J.J.'s role expanded even more after Amos left, which really bothered Rolle. The show started to drift away from the serious social issues that were part of its DNA. This change really troubled both Rolle and Amos because they were activists at heart. Rolle felt frustrated watching the show change from what it was meant to be. "The show didn't start out to be that," she said in her 1975 Ebony interview. She saw how the writers made J.J. more stupid and enlarged the role as time went on. Money also played a big part in her decision to leave. Rolle asked for a raise because she felt that, as the lead actress who helped make the show successful, she deserved better pay. The producers wouldn't meet her salary demands, so both creative and financial frustrations pushed her to exit. The show's ratings dropped after Rolle left, which proved how much viewers loved her. This ratings dip made producers bring her back for the 6th and final season. When she returned, she finally got what she wanted: more control over the storylines and the show's direction. Rolle's story lights up the struggles Black actors faced in 1970s television. She stood up for what she believed in and fought against harmful stereotypes. She also pushed for fair pay, showing she wouldn't back down just because the show was popular or her job was at stake. Walker responds to the criticism decades later. A significant amount of time had passed since the conclusion of Good Times before Jimmie Walker finally addressed the accusations that his former co-stars had leveled against him. Through a number of interviews, he discussed his thoughts on the conflicts that arose among the cast members throughout the course of the show's run. On the other hand, his comments provide us with an intriguing glimpse into the flip side of the issues that Rolle and Amos had with his character J.J. Even though they had a chilly relationship, Walker showed a profound appreciation for the professional abilities of his television parents. The statement was made by Walker in an interview with the Television Academy. "They are all very good actors. I don't take anything away from their talent," Walker said. "Their talent is tremendous." He distinguished between personal chemistry and professional respect in a very clear and concise manner. When Walker was asked if he enjoyed working with them, he selected his remarks with meticulous consideration. "The term, enjoy, is not enough in my opinion. I believe I was able to recognize their abilities." In particular, he lauded Amos's later work, stating, "John is an outstanding actor." Not only was he outstanding in Roots, but he also proved to be outstanding in The West Wing. The conflicts that existed behind the scenes of the program may have actually prevented it from achieving greater success. "We ran through tremendous adversity for 4.5 years," he said to reporters. "If we had had any kind of love whatever, I don't know how long we could have gone." What is truly fascinating is the fact that Walker was able to keep himself fully oblivious to the complaints that his co-stars voiced while the production was in progress. "It was something I was unaware of." Walker said that he was occupied with his stand-up routine. When one considers how openly Rolle and Amos expressed their worries, it is difficult to think that this is the case. After learning of their critique, Walker maintained a level of composure that was rather admirable. "When I found out, it didn't move me." On the other hand, in direct contrast to this public posture, he subsequently stated in an interview with Ebony magazine, "Although I sloughed it off in public, the fact is that Esther's criticism, some of it very pointed and personal, seriously damaged my appeal in the Black community." Walker believed that his former castmates did not value the fact that they were a part of a successful show. "I think that they killed the goose that laid the golden egg," he stated in response. "These people, anytime you say anything, they get crazy, they get upset." In an interview with Ebony magazine, he explicitly addressed allegations that J.J. had an impact on the public, saying, "I don't think any television show can put out an image to save people. In my opinion, you should not follow me. I do not want to be a follower or a leader. I want to be someone who takes action." Today, Walker continues to take pride in his depiction of J.J., despite the fact that his former co-stars had a very different perspective on the part. Did the cast of Good Times get along? In the production of Good Times, the producer Norman Lear recognized an opportunity that had been missed by the members of the ensemble. Had John and Esther thrown their arms around this wild but tender talent and been grateful for what he brought to the show, so hungry for their respect and kindness was Jimmie, they could have owned the lad and helped him to mature. Lear made the observation. His statements shed light on what may have been a different relationship between performers whose on-screen charm was unable to conceal their harshness once the camera had stopped rolling. The environment on the set became more poisonous than one might expect based on the minor conflicts that occurred. According to the articles, selfishness, pride, and jealousy at the core root of their failure is the picture that is painted. The Evans family appeared to be together on screen. Nonetheless, the members of the cast competed with each other rather than completing each other and completing each other. This quarrel is detrimental to the future of the show. Walker maintained the belief that if we had had any kind of love whatever, I don't know how long we could have gone. He believed that his fellow actors had killed the goose that laid the golden egg by opposing the direction that the program was taking. Problems extend beyond the three primary characters in the situation. Following the realization that his character would not develop, Ralph Carter lost interest in portraying the role of Michael. The authors were frequently urged by Jeanette Dubois to provide her character Willona with additional sequences. The cast members performed their duties, but they never developed any personal relationships with one another. Time was a healing agent for old wounds. It had been 40 years since John Amos had last seen his old castmates, but they finally got together at an autograph event in Parsippany, New Jersey in 2014. Being reunited with that family after all those years, 40 years of working with them, was a fantastic experience. Amos said that it was a pleasant sensation. A live in front of a studio audience special for Good Times was held in 2019, and it included the remaining members of the cast performing together once more. Amos participated in the reenactment of the show, while Walker Stannis and Dubois made personal appearances as special guests. Amos remarked, "Sure, we had creative differences as all cast members do about every project you're involved in, but nothing that defeated the purpose of the show." This was a reversal from his previous opinions which he had previously expressed. Despite this, it continues to be a hilarious program. When the performers realized that they had a common position in the history of television, what began as a dysfunctional workplace was transformed into mutual respect, at least in public. Why did Esther Rolle leave Good Times and come back? Esther Rolle left the show after the 4th season due to deep creative disagreements and then made a powerful return in its final season. Her departure and comeback reflected both her strong personal convictions and her commitment to meaningful representation of Black families on television. Rolle was initially enthusiastic about Good Times, which spun off from her earlier role on Maude. The show was groundbreaking for being one of the first sitcoms to center on an African-American family living in the Chicago housing projects. However, as the series progressed, Rolle grew increasingly frustrated with the direction it was taking, especially with the portrayal of J.J. Evans, played by Jimmie Walker. J.J.'s character, with his exaggerated comedic antics and catchphrase "Dynamite," became a breakout star, but Rolle felt that his portrayal reinforced negative stereotypes rather than offering a realistic depiction of Black youth. She believed that the focus on comedy was overshadowing the show's potential for serious social commentary. Furthermore, she was unhappy with the writer's choice to kill off her character's husband, James Evans, played by John Amos, who also left the show due to similar concerns. In 1977, Rolle left the show stating in interviews that she no longer wanted to be part of a series that didn't align with her values. She emphasized that she wanted to portray a family where both parents were strong role models, not just comic relief. However, after a one-year absence, Esther Rolle returned to Good Times for its 6th and final season. Her return came after the producers agreed to address some of her concerns, including toning down JJ's character and restoring more balance in the show's tone. Though Good Times ended not long after her comeback was a symbolic victory showing how one actress used her influence to demand more dignity and depth for her character and community. Esther Rolle's stance has since been praised as pioneering, especially at a time when black actors had limited power in the industry. Her legacy remains as one of a trailblazer who fought for authenticity and respect in how black families were portrayed on screen. Was Jimmie Walker wrong? Or was Esther Rolle just trying to protect the integrity of black storytelling? Tell us in the comments, were you Team Florida or Team JJ? If you loved Good Times, like and subscribe for more untold truths from classic TV history.